Y'all, this wasn't just an announcement. This was a moment that completely changed the trajectory of Love and Marriage Huntsville forever. At exactly midnight, when most people were asleep, Melody Sheree Rogers quietly released a statement that sent shockwaves across social media. In just a few words, she confirmed what no one truly believed could happen, that after 9 seasons of sharing her marriage, her motherhood, her trauma, her rebuilding, and her growth, she would no longer be a part of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Just like that, the woman many fans believed was the show made the decision to walk away. Within minutes, timelines exploded. Shock, disbelief, sadness, anger, and confusion filled the comment sections. Because for so many viewers, Melody wasn't just another reality TV personality. She was the backbone of the series, the woman whose life carried the emotional weight of the show, whose pain fueled the drama, and whose resilience inspired millions of women watching at home. Nobody imagined that she would leave like this, not suddenly, not quietly, and not without leaving behind an earthquake. For nearly a decade, Melody Sheree Rogers opened her life to the cameras. From the early days of marriage and business building to the devastating collapse of her relationship with Martell Holt, viewers watched her endure betrayal, public humiliation, emotional manipulation, and relentless criticism, all in front of a national audience. Over time, fans didn't just watch Melody, they grew with her, they rooted for her, they defended her. That's why her announcement felt so personal. People always said Melody wasn't just a cast member, she was the soul of Love and Marriage Huntsville. She was the face that gave the show credibility, depth, and emotional gravity. Without her, the series felt hollow to many viewers. So when Melody confirmed she was done, social media didn't just react, it erupted. Questions flooded every platform. Why now? Was she pushed out? Did producers fail her? Was Martell involved behind the scenes? But while fans were trying to process the loss of Melody from the show, there was one person whose world appeared to shift most dramatically: Martell Holt. Martell's reaction to Melody's departure was confusing, contradictory, and deeply telling. Some sources claimed he was blindsided by the news, finding out the same way fans did, through social media. Others suggested he knew but refused to accept it, holding on to denial as a form of control. Either way, his behavior in the days and weeks following the announcement revealed far more than his words ever could. Martell appeared angry, anxious, restless, and defensive. He carried himself with forced confidence, yet his eyes told a different story: the fear of someone who had just lost the foundation of their power. Over the years, Martell had openly admitted that rejection cuts deep. He once said that the divorce from Melody was the first time he had ever truly broken down and cried. Yet, despite these admissions, Martell often masked his pain with ego and denial. He repeatedly claimed he was in control, unbothered, and moving forward. But the truth was painfully obvious. Everything was slipping away from him. Melody was no longer there to anchor his storyline, to react to him, to engage in the battles that had kept him relevant. Without Melody, Martell was forced to confront something terrifying. Who was he without her? To the outside world, Melody Sheree Rogers appeared unbreakable. She was intelligent, ambitious, independent, and successful. A businesswoman, a mother of 4, a woman who seemed to rise above every attack thrown her way. But the reality behind the scenes was far more complex and far more painful. Her marriage to Martell didn't just end, it imploded publicly. The cheating scandals, the emotional manipulation, the constant gaslighting, it all played out on television. And even after the divorce was finalized, Martell refused to let her heal in peace. Season after season, he questioned her motherhood, commented on her dating life, spread rumors, and repeatedly painted himself as the victim. Every reunion, every episode, every sit-down, there was always a new angle, a new accusation, and a new wound reopened. And the producers allowed it because Melody's suffering drove ratings.
The uncomfortable truth is this: Love and Marriage Huntsville thrived on Melody's suffering. Her heartbreak became entertainment, her reactions became storylines, her emotional breakdowns became cliffhangers. Producers continuously placed her in triggering situations, forced conversations she wasn't ready for, and allowed cast members to disrespect her, all in the name of drama.
While Melody fought tirelessly to protect her businesses, her children, her self-worth, and her future, the show repeatedly dragged her back into the same trauma she was trying to escape. And as the seasons progressed, fans noticed something heartbreaking. The spark that once lit up the screen was slowly dimming. Melody was no longer thriving, she was surviving. What once felt like her space had become hostile territory. As the environment grew more toxic, Melody found herself increasingly isolated. Cast members she once considered friends began turning against her. Alliances shifted, jealousy crept in, producer pressure influenced relationships behind the scenes, and slowly, Melody became more alone with each passing season. Arguments escalated, insults became more personal, her integrity was questioned, her finances were discussed publicly, her children were mentioned in ways that crossed boundaries, and every time she tried to rise above it, she was dragged back into the mud. The emotional toll was immense. Every filming day chipped away at her mental health. Every reunion drained her spirit. Every forced interaction pushed her closer to a breaking point. And eventually, Melody realized something had to change. Melody's exit was not impulsive. It was not emotional. It was not reckless. It was necessary. Years of bitterness, manipulation, injustice, and coercion had finally led her to a dead end. The final conflicts with Martell, the pressure from producers to relive her trauma, the toxic cast dynamics, and most importantly, the inner scream she could no longer ignore, forced her to make a life-altering decision. By leaving Love and Marriage Huntsville, Melody wasn't running away. She was reclaiming her power. She made it clear that she would no longer be the villain in someone else's narrative. She would no longer allow her pain to be exploited for ratings. She wanted peace. She wanted stability. She wanted a healthy environment for her children, and she chose herself. While Melody moved with quiet dignity, Martell unraveled publicly. He claimed he didn't care, but his behavior told a different story. He repeatedly mentioned Melody in lives and interviews. He mocked her posts. He recycled old narratives. He lashed out with sarcasm and bitterness. The more he insisted he was fine, the clearer it became that he was anything but. Because without Melody, Martell lost more than just an ex-wife. He lost his storyline, his relevance, his sense of identity. The fear set in quickly. Who would he argue with now? Who would he blame? Who would the audience care about? Melody's absence exposed Martell's weaknesses in a way nothing else ever had. When rumors began circulating that Melody might be pregnant and social media started mentioning Hill Harper, Martell's anxiety intensified. But the real pain wasn't jealousy, it wasn't ownership, it was fear. Fear that Melody was whole, fear that she was happy, fear that she was safe and thriving without him. That realization shattered the illusion of control Martell had clung to for years, because deep down, he couldn't accept that the woman he once believed couldn't survive without him was now standing stronger than ever in his absence. Throughout all of this, Melody remained calm, measured, and intentional. She didn't retaliate. She didn't engage in public warfare. She spoke when necessary, but without rage or bitterness. Her words carried truth, not venom. She stated clearly that her priority was her mental and emotional safety, that she would no longer allow anyone to dictate her life, her decisions, or her worth. That is real strength. Melody understood that character speaks louder than arguments, and while Martell's reputation continued to decline due to his own actions, Melody rose, quietly, gracefully, and powerfully. Melody's departure exposed something much bigger than a cast change. It revealed a deep flaw in reality television, the expectation that women must repeatedly relive trauma to remain relevant, that pain must be packaged as entertainment, that peace is a threat to ratings.
However, the reaction was immediate and explosive. Fans flooded social media with disbelief, confusion, sadness, and anger, because for many viewers, Melody was not just another cast member, she was the soul of the show. The woman whose presence elevated the series, whose story gave it emotional depth, and whose journey kept millions of people tuning in season after season. People had always said that without Melody, Love and Marriage Huntsville wouldn't be what it was, and now, suddenly, that theory was about to be tested. But while the fans were still processing the loss, one person's world seemed to shatter the most, and that person was Martell Holt. Melody's departure didn't just affect the show or the audience, it sent Martell into a psychological tailspin. Some insiders claimed that Martell had no idea this was coming, that he learned about Melody's decision the same way everyone else did, through social media. Others believed he knew ahead of time but refused to accept it, clinging to denial as a way to maintain control. But regardless of what he knew or didn't know, his reaction made one thing crystal clear: this loss hit him deeply.
Martell's behavior following the announcement was telling. The anger, the forced confidence, the erratic energy, the emotional outbursts masked as indifference. All of it revealed the fear of someone who had just lost their foundation. Martell has admitted in interviews, live sessions, and posts that rejection cuts deeply, that it wounds the soul in ways people don't always want to acknowledge. He has openly shared that during the divorce, he cried for the first time in his life, a moment that shattered his image of control and strength. Yet, despite those admissions, Martell continued to cling to ego and denial. He insisted he was fine. He insisted he was still in control. But the truth was obvious to anyone watching closely. Everything had already slipped through his fingers. Melody was no longer there to react to him, to argue with him, to anchor his storyline. And without her, Martell was left facing a terrifying question. Who was he without Melody Sheree? For years, the world viewed Melody Sheree Rogers as unbreakable. She was portrayed as strong, intelligent, independent, and resilient, a successful businesswoman, a devoted mother of 4, a woman who seemed to rise above every obstacle thrown her way. But behind that polished exterior was a reality far more painful and far more complex than viewers could see. Her marriage to Martell didn't simply end, it collapsed publicly. The betrayal, the cheating scandals, the gaslighting, the emotional manipulation, all of it played out on national television. And even after the divorce was finalized, Martell refused to let her heal in peace. Season after season, he questioned her parenting. He commented on her relationships. He fueled rumors. He involved other cast members. Every reunion, every episode, there was always a new angle, a new accusation, a new way to reopen the same wound. And the producers didn't intervene. They capitalized. The uncomfortable truth is that Melody's pain became the backbone of the show's success. Her heartbreak translated into ratings. Her emotional responses became storylines. Her vulnerability became entertainment. Producers repeatedly placed her in triggering situations, forced conversations she wasn't ready for, and allowed cast members to disrespect her, all because conflict sells. They wanted tension, they wanted screaming matches, they wanted emotional breakdowns, and Melody's life became their goldmine. She was pushed into the same conversations over and over again, the same questions, the same accusations, the same emotional triggers. Yet despite the exhaustion, Melody continued to show up. She fought for her businesses, she nurtured her music career, she hosted workshops, she raised her children, she protected her dignity and her future. But as the seasons progressed, fans began to notice something heartbreaking. The light that once made Melody shine on screen was slowly fading. What once felt like her space, her territory, her platform, had become a battlefield where she was simply trying to survive. As Melody tried to distance herself from her past trauma, the more she was pulled back into it. The producers continued to pressure her, Martell continued to provoke her, and even within the cast, the atmosphere grew increasingly toxic.
People she once trusted turned against her. Alliances formed, jealousy surfaced. Personal agendas and unseen interests took precedence over genuine relationships. Melody became more isolated with each passing season. Arguments grew more personal. Her integrity was questioned publicly. Her finances were discussed on camera. Her character was attacked. And worst of all, her children were brought into conversations that crossed every boundary imaginable. These weren't just dramatic moments for television. These were deeply personal attacks that followed her home long after the cameras stopped rolling. The emotional toll was immense. Eventually, Melody reached her limit. Every filming day drained her emotionally. Every scene took something from her. Every meeting left her feeling smaller, more exhausted, more unheard. Her mental health was deteriorating. Her emotional well-being was compromised. Her responsibilities as a mother weighed heavily on her heart. And slowly, she realized that continuing on this path meant sacrificing herself. Her decision to leave the show was not impulsive, it was not sudden. It was the result of a long, painful journey filled with years of bitterness, injustice, coercion, and emotional manipulation. The final conflicts with Martell, the relentless pressure from producers, the changing dynamics within the cast, and her own inner scream all led her to a dead end. At that dead end, Melody chose herself. By walking away from Love and Marriage Huntsville, Melody declared a powerful declaration. She declared that she would no longer be the villain in someone else's story. She would no longer be used as a tool to boost ratings. She would no longer sell her pain for entertainment. She wanted peace. She wanted healing. She wanted a fresh start. And most importantly, she wanted a safe and healthy environment for her children. This decision was not weakness. It was strength.
The most frantic reaction to Melody's departure came from Martell himself. He claimed he didn't care. He claimed he was fine, but his actions told a completely different story. He began mentioning Melody constantly on social media, in interviews, in live sessions. He mocked her posts. He recycled old narratives. He rehashed past conflicts. The more he insisted he was unbothered, the more obvious it became that he was deeply affected. Because with Melody Dawn, Martell lost more than just an ex-wife. He lost his relevance. He lost his storyline. He lost his sense of identity. Without Melody, there was no one to argue with, no one to blame, no one to center his narrative around. And that reality terrified him. For years, Martell tried to overshadow Melody's presence, her popularity, and her power, but her departure forced him to confront an uncomfortable truth. Without her, his story became colorless, his flaws became more visible, his mistakes became harder to deflect, his excuses rang hollow. Melody refused to participate any longer, and in doing so, she earned the respect of millions of women who saw themselves in her journey. Fans made it clear, no Melody, no show, and that wasn't just a slogan, it was the truth. Melody Sheree Rogers didn't leave Love and Marriage Huntsville broken, she left empowered. Her story isn't ending, it's evolving. She chose peace over chaos, healing over ratings, freedom over control. And as she steps into this next chapter, one thing is undeniable, no storm can ever knock her down again. Now I want to hear from you. Can Love and Marriage Huntsville survive without Melody? Did the producers push her too far? And did Martell ever truly realize what he lost? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.